when I was searching you up, the TMZ video came up.
Oh, yeah.
So Jesse Metcalfe was is an actor.
Yes.
Yeah. And he was in like Desperate Housewives and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you were with your partner at the time.
He was rude to her. And she goes, you promised no more fights. So I said, okay. So I just did this thing. You can see in the video, I did a love tap on his face where I was like, all right, buddy, go have a good night. But it was quite condescending. Yeah. Then what you don't see is him turning around and going for me, and then me putting him in a choke and letting him go.
Really?
And then he goes, it's on. And then I punched him.
What was your dream then when you were at school? What did young Mams want to be? Obviously a cowboy.
Cowboy.
Yeah. But was that is there a career in being a cowboy?
Yeah.
Is there?
There is. There absolutely is. I mean, there's not much money in it, but it's it depends. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of cowboys out there who say that they're cowboys, and they're very rough with the animals, and they're very they're unnecessarily, and they think about being cool before they think about the animal. But a real cowboy will literally die for their animals. They'll do whatever it takes to ensure their safety. And a cowboy has to adjust all the time. And the reason I know all this stuff is because I'm basically got a real cowboy that's been teaching me. Oh. And yeah, and he's a no nonsense guy. Like when I first arrived to the town I was in an Uber and I was wearing a mask because if you didn't wear a mask, it was during COVID. Yeah. If you didn't wear a mask in an Uber, you weren't allowed to be in the Uber again. Mm-hmm. So I get out and he's on a horse and randomly sees me and goes, "Are you here to rob a bank, boy?" And I go, no, I'm not. He goes, "Well, take that shit off your face. We don't wear that around here." I was like, I love this guy. So yeah, he's taught me a lot.
So how did it come from just him being a random bloke on the street to actually teaching you how to be a cowboy then?
Well, everyone knows each other where I live, kind of thing. This guy does this. If you want fences put up, you go to Tommy Newcomb. If you want your walls painted, this is your guy.
If you want your CD players nicked, go to Mams Taylor.
Yeah.
It feels like a really weird version of Karate Kid. Like he's your sensei.
He's my sensei, and he's honestly like, I've told him like he's the only person I know that's not online. Yeah, I get a lot of people talking shit to me online. But to my face, to say something, I've said I've put people in hospital for less than what you say to me, and you can say whatever you want, basically.
Really?
And he's like, "I'm just saving your life," because he has to be harsh in moments where I'm making mistakes.
Right.
Not so much now, but in the beginning, I was like, man, this feels so degrading because he'd really let me have it.
What, in terms of like he's saying you're
shouting at me,
shit cowboy?
Yeah. He's like,
wow,
you can want to be.
Wow. Do the people from your town over in Tennessee, do they know about this? What you do over here?
Yeah, I think so. Some do. But the cool thing about where I live is it's not. Yes, people are curious about each other and stuff, but it's not like LA where it's like. In LA, it was, what can you do for me?
Right. Oh, right. Yeah.
And I feel like the friends I've made over in where I live in Tennessee are lifelong friends that you can call at a whim and they'll be there in 2 seconds, no questions asked.
So did you used to live in LA?
Yeah, for like 15, 16 years.
15 years.
Yeah.
You were a musician at one point, weren't you? Or are you still?
Well, yeah, I did write songs, produce, do stuff like that. But I tried to be an artist at first.
Right, okay.
But I tried to be an artist for the wrong reasons.
You wanted the fame?
No.
The money?
No.
The galleys?
Yes. I was like, okay, because I left home at a younger age, didn't get along, great with my family now, but... and I was determined to make money on my own. So when I was 23, by 23, I'd made my first few millions.
Really?
Yeah.
How?
Again, it was a case of being thrown in the deep end in business ventures that I had no fucking clue what I was doing. And it just worked out because I was very determined and disciplined and optimistic. And I realized that no matter what's happened in my life, I'm always disciplined and optimistic.
Right.
And that's the formula.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
so from real estate deals, did a big real estate deal. I middlemaned. Suddenly, I've got millions in my account.
Wow.
From being a bouncer.
From being a bouncer.
Yeah, so I was a bouncer at this club, very popular club back in the day called Paparazzi Lounge.
Okay.
And
How does that pay that much?
that doesn't pay that much.
Right.
But the tips were great.
Yeah.
As far as being a bouncer goes, it was the best job you could have because you'd have, if you knew how to hustle, you'd basically make really great tips. Actually, a guy who's one of JJ's trainers, he got me the job there. And from London Shoot Fighters. So he got me the job, Marius, shout out to Marius. And he'd go up to someone, there were like 6 guys, and he'd be like, Mams is in such a bad mood today, like blah, blah, blah. It's going to cost you big, like if you're going to come in. Anyway, we'd march up to so there's points that I'd take them to the cash machine and take like $2,000 out. All right, thank you. Now you go and spend on that table.
No
so I'd
way.
make sure they'd spend on the table.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And they were just like high royalties, like people that had come into a party.
But everyone was, so they're not special.
Right, okay,
You know?
yeah.
But sometimes you knew when you had someone that was like, let's not fuck with this guy.
Right.
It's 4 a.m. We've got another hour here.
Yeah.
It was a late night club. And we're like, all right, let's just let this go. Let it slide. But yeah, we've had a lot of incidents there. It was a lot of fun and a lot of great experiences. But one of the guys that went there, I ended up working with him and middlemaning this property deal, and before you know it, I've got like millions in my account from it. And first thing I did was run and buy a Ferrari. Like I was like, all right, I need this Ferrari from the
But
James.
before a house?
Before a house, before anything.
Fuck.
But also that was a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
You know, and
What Ferrari did you get?
a 360, it was new. It was a 360 not blue from the James Bond movie.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, it was sick. But honestly, it's ironic. Like now I'm 45 years old.
Yeah.
I could give a flying fuck about cars. I've got a couple of nice ones, but
Yeah.
I'd rather get art or horses or rescue more animals or do stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you go through phases. And honestly, for me, if I'm honest, a lot of the stuff, like buying a car, was more about the validation it brought.
Okay.
It wasn't that I'm like an auto enthusiast that knows how the engine works and, the mechanism in your watch. And it was more of a status symbol thing. But the more you get to know yourself,
Yeah.
the less you give a fuck about that shit.
Right.
You know? And that's why I've got a Fu Manchu mustache now. I've always wanted to have one. My girl hates it. Like, do you realize this makes you more unattractive? I'm like, you should be happy then. I'm not going to get any attention from anyone else. You know? But I feel like the more you get to know who you are, the less you really give a fuck and about what others' opinions are.
Yeah.
And ironically, when I was really trying to be famous, like in my 20s, I was like, I want to be famous so I can get more. What happened was I had all this dough and I'm out, and then we'd hang out with different celebrities in LA, and I'd see Timberlake, I'd be speaking to a hot girl who's an actress, up and coming, doing well, and then Timberlake would come and then she'd just leave the conversation and go speak to him. I'm like, what the fuck?
He'd go, cry me a river, man.
I'm going to be a rapper, watch, you know? So that's how it started. So it was disingenuous. My intentions were not pure and like, I'm such an artist. It wasn't that.
Well, I like that you admit that now.
It was
Like,
just the
yeah,
truth.
You're right.
You know? But then it formulated into, actually, I really enjoyed the process of writing. I'm a good writer. I can put music together. I've got a good musical mind. But I'm suited more behind the scenes. So after I really tried to make it in music, it flopped. I had some small wins, but ultimately...
Didn't you work with Snoop Dogg?
Yeah.
Is that one of the small wins?
Well, yeah, it was. But I didn't have a hit. Like I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, quite frankly. If I had the knowledge that I have now, back then I would know what to do to have made it back then, you know?
How does it come about that you do a song with... Because you hadn't... Well, I've searched you up on YouTube. You don't have too many songs on there, but you do have one with Snoop Dogg. So how does that come so early in a musician's career? Money?
No, I did. Well, that was the irony. Yes, I had money, but I was the guy... I owned like... part of a nightclub, part of a restaurant, and I was out every night partying with, you know, all the who's who's, and you have conversations and you meet people and they're like Robbie Williams. That to me was a massive win. We were having dinner and then we get into my car. I had the Rolls-Royce Phantom with the driver, and behind that Phantom was another Phantom with the girls in the car, and we were just driving, and he's like, oh, let me listen to your music. So
Robbie Williams is in the car with you?
Yeah, and he's like, I like this one. Who's on the hook? I'm like, I haven't got anyone on it yet. He's like, can I be on it? And I went and I literally I called my mum. I was like, Mum, your favorite Robbie Williams is going to be on my music. It's like, no way.
Is this out there, a tune with Robbie Williams?
Yeah, it didn't do great, but
what was that called?
More to Life.
More to Life.
Yeah.
I can't believe I haven't seen that. I listened to the Snoop Dogg one yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I didn't know my identity, so I was like rapping with an American accent. I was really not very centered, and I was just very much about what's next, and I didn't know what was important, and life battered me and put me in a place where I was like, okay, I get it now.
What can I ask what you mean by that?
Honestly, so losing all the money,
right?
That wasn't the thing that hurt me. It was just experiences in relationships which made me like just crumble. And that's been my weakness, I feel, throughout life.
Right.
Until, you know, not recently, but growing up and the growing pains and the lessons. Because I feel like, not to get too deep, but if there are things that you're doing repeatedly and they're not working for you, there's some kind of outlook you have and actions and the way you treat people, whatever it is, at some point on some level, life is going to teach you a lesson and say, this isn't working for you because you're a better person than this.
Right, okay.
And then if you carry on repeating those patterns and mistakes, it often gets harsher. So the lesson gets harder. So I had to go through a few of those lessons.
Right.
And stop going for girls who literally wanted saving.
Okay.
But they didn't really, you know?
Yeah.
And
is that how you lost money then? Did you lose your money through girls? No. Bad financial decisions, bad lifestyle?
No, it was really, the majority of it was just bad investments.
Oh, okay, right.
I thought I was invincible. I
Okay.
thought whatever stock I put my money on is going to fly and just do well, make me millions, because it was. And then, yeah, a lot of money got lost in a short space of time. But that was probably the best thing that happened to me.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Was it hard to know whether the relationships you were having with people were genuine when you had that money?
When I lost it, I knew right away.
Oh, because then you lost the people that you thought loved you.
95% of them just disappeared, basically.
That's a harsh reality, that.
Yeah, and it didn't bother me too much. I adapted really well from living in a, 17,000 square foot mansion in Beverly Hills.
Fucking hell.
With 3 security, with a chef, with 2 assistants, and countless cars, and this and that and the other, partying every night, to a Ford Focus, okay, and a flat share with 4 other people. You know, it very quickly happened, but I was fucking having a great time. I was okay with it. And the key is, what I knew was accepting what your reality is as quickly as you can is a great foundation to build off of. So it doesn't mean you accept it and this is what you want to do forever. It's just you accept it and you're grateful, because it could be worse. You know, you could be hurt. You couldn't, you know, if you've got your health, and if you focus on the things you're grateful for, and make you happy, then it seems to expand. And I feel like the universe gives you more to be grateful for.
You seem like you seem quite a humble person. You seem like you've learnt from your ups and downs, and you don't take the highs too high and the lows too low, if that makes sense. When I was searching you up, the TMZ video came up.
Oh, yeah.
What's that about? What's the background of that, if you don't mind talking about it?
He's all right now. He was a prick, you know? The guy was...
So you got in a fight, did you, in LA?
Yeah, I got in quite a few. That one happened to get caught on camera, unfortunately. Right. So...
But are you, right, sorry, Mams. Were you a celebrity back then?
No, TMZ had an obsession with me for about a year and a half.
But they only have obsessions with celebrities. So I know you were rich and you lived in Beverly Hills, but everyone in Beverly Hills is rich. Why were you a name back then?
Because of the Jesse Metcalfe thing.
Because of this?
Yeah, I like everything else I tried to be famous for wouldn't work.
Right.
So I'm punching this guy in the face. I forgot that there's cameras there. It wasn't like calculated.
Yeah.
Let me, be well known on TMZ. So this guy, it cut everything, the sequence of events that happened. It made me look like I just punched him for no reason, which wasn't the case. So yeah, I punched him, and then after that they were obsessed and they were shit stirring. Do you want to fight Suge Knight? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? So
Jesse Metcalfe is an actor.
Yes.
Yeah. And he was in like Desperate Housewives and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you were with your partner at the time in LA.
Yeah.
On a outside a nightclub or on a street.
Yeah.
And TMZ have filmed you pretty much knocking him out.
That's but
what was the build up to that then?
So we were all in Miami a while back, and I thought this guy's a prick because the way he was speaking to the waitress.
Oh, okay, right.
Do you know who I am? And did this and that and the other. And
Right.
I was like, "Who the fuck are you? Like, stop." As much of I've been a prick in my life. Don't get me wrong, and I've also, because of a lack of understanding my own identity, and knowing who I really am, I'd put on a show, but I would never. I was always nice to people. I wouldn't treat people badly. Yes, sometimes. Look, in LA, to look cool back in the day, you'd have to go to a club and you can't be like, "Hey, what's up?" You'd have to be like, "Hey,"
Right.
So yeah, we've all played that game for a little bit.
Yeah.
But the reality is, as soon as you speak to me, we're just human beings. This guy was like on some other level. And I didn't like that. And I held it against him. I was like, all right, I don't like that. So then he gave me another reason. He came up to the girl I was with at the time, who's an actress. And she basically, he was rude to her. So it wasn't like he was hitting on her. He was saying something rude. And she goes to me, "Why did you say that? Blah, blah, blah." And she goes, "You promised no more fights." So I said, okay. So I just did this thing. You can see in the video, I did a love tap on his face where I was like, "All right, buddy, go have a good night." But it was quite condescending.
Yeah.
Then what you don't see is him turning around and going for me, and then me putting him in a choke and letting him go.
Really?
And then he goes, it's on. And then I punched him. And then after that, I got jumped by 4 of his friends and a little person.
Wow.
Yeah. He was a really tough little person as well. So I was at a gifting suite. And I was holding my girl at the time was trying on the gifts, the outfits and things in the changing room. So I'm holding her purse. I'm holding my wallet. I was wearing quite tight jeans, if I can recall. And I've got keys and phone and everything in my hand. Next thing I know, bang, bosh, bang. From every side, I'm getting hit. And I drop a bunch of stuff and I'm just covering up, making sure I don't get killed. And then I look in front of me and there's a guy who's about 4 foot tall and he's just going like boom. What are you doing? So yeah.
And was that connected to that then?
Yeah, it was. They all jumped me. Nothing
It feels
happened.
like a TV show. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't feel real.
This is LA though, isn't it? This is Beverly Hills.
God. I mean, listen, I won't even tell you the things I can't. There's things I can't talk about that really you'd think this guy's a fucking liar. It's just too discombobulated.